President Bola Tinubu is seeking the approval of both chambers of the National Assembly for an external loan of about $8.69 billion and 100 million euros to be sourced from the African Development Bank and the World Bank. The president sent separate letters to the Senate and the House of Representatives for early approval of his request. According to the president, the monies are to be deployed to address huge infrastructure deficits in the country. The letter also states that the project cuts across all sectors with specific emphasis on infrastructure, agriculture, health, water supply, road, security and employment generation, as well as financial management reforms. Also, the Senate has granted the request by President Bola Tinubu to hold a joint session for the presentation of the 2024 budget. This is coming a day after the National Assembly, through its Secretary on Research and Information, Umoru, announced that the president will address the parliament on Wednesday, 29th of November. President Tinubu 3 weeks ago forwarded to both chambers of the National Assembly the 2024 to 2026 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper, where the sum of 26.1 trillion naira was proposed as the total expenditure profile for the 2024 fiscal year. Let's return now to the development story about President Bola Tinubu's plans to present the 2024 budget to the National Assembly on Wednesday. Joining us to further discuss that is Deputy Chairman, House of Representatives Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Philip Agbese. Thank you for joining us on TVC News at 7. Well, Honorable, this presentation will be happening a month to the end of the year. Is that enough time for you and your colleagues to painstakingly consider this document and pass it to meet the January-December budget cycle?
Well, thank you very much. We don't want to preempt what the president is presenting to the National Assembly tomorrow. But again, I want to tell you that with the constitution of committees that took place in the past, and the cooperation between the parliament and the executive, the harmonious working relationship between the two organs of government, I want to assure you and the rest of Nigerians that the National Assembly is equal to the task. We will be able to do our duty within the time provided to make sure that we continue to deliver on our campaign promises to Nigerians and to support Mr. President, His Excellency President Bola Tinubu, in line with the legislative agenda of the 10th Assembly to continue to provide good governance to Nigerians.
The harmonious relationship you spoke about is the reason some Nigerians are asking questions whether lawmakers would actually do due diligence to consider everything contained in that document and ensure that it is critically examined and appraised before it is actually passed.
Well, for us in the 10th Assembly, this is going to be our first budget. Just about 2 weeks ago, we considered the supplementary budget for 2023, and Nigerians can attest to the fact that we did our best in scrutinizing that document. For the very first time, presentation of budget took place. The Appropriation Committee invited members of the executive consigned. They came, relevant questions were asked. You recall that the controversy surrounding a boat for the Nigerian Navy, and how we treated the issue of the student loan, taking money from certain sectors and increasing the allocation for another sector. We Nigerians have confidence in the current 10th Assembly, particularly the House of Representatives, which I happen to be a member today. His Excellency Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas has clearly stated his legislative agenda, which is a working tool, like our instrument of faith, as a covenant between us and the Nigerian people. I can assure you once again that we're equal to that. We are concerned about due process. We are concerned about transparency and accountability, particularly in the MDAs. So we are going to do our best to ensure that every single kobo of the Nigerian people, is properly utilized in the best interest of the masses. That is our commitment, our pledge to the Nigerian people. And we are going to make sure that that is done with the 2024 Appropriation Act.
Okay. Earlier today, the president actually wrote to both chambers of the National Assembly requesting approval for external loans. How are lawmakers attending to that request?
Yes, we received that communication. It was read on the floor of the House by His Excellency Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, PhD. I equally believe that was also done on the floor of the Senate earlier today. Our relevant committees are going to look into it, and they will cross-check the figures, look at where we are as a country today. We equally look at in details Mr. President's vision for that request, and at the end of the day, we'll come back together as a whole house to look at it. That will provide the elected representative of the Nigerian people to equally raise issues, and we'll all look at it. If the request is going to serve the interests of good governance, if it is going to serve the yearnings and aspirations of the Nigerian people, if that request is going to help to ameliorate the sufferings of our people. And like we all know, I think to a large extent we will agree that President Bola Tinubu is on track. He's doing all his best to make sure that we record a rapid development across sectors, particularly the security sector, massive infrastructure. These are the kind of things Nigerians want to see in the nearest future. So for a president that is dutifully committed to this kind of reforms across sector, in oil and gas, where we are seeing some level of accountability, and other sectors generally, particularly the issue of poverty alleviation. I think a right thinking in Parliament, just like we have today, and exactly what we are doing, will be eager to partner with Mr. President. So for us in the 10th Assembly, we want to see these figures translate into possible gains for the Nigerian people. And that's exactly what we've been elected to do, the oath of office which we have taken, to continue to improve on the welfare of the Nigerian people. I think Mr. President is on track at the moment. The House is equally cooperating, partnering with Mr. President to ensure that he delivers on these promises to the masses.
That is important because Nigerians' expectations are actually really high. And I believe it might just be some busy end of the year for lawmakers as you consider this appropriation document and, of course, do your due diligence and, if possible, ensure that Nigeria is able to meet the January to December budget cycle. Honorable Philip Agbese is Deputy Chairman, House Committee on Media and Public Affairs. Thank you so much for talking to us on TVC News at 7.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, Sue.